This is a short video on the parasol that I am working on recovering. Sorry, I'm doing this on my phone because my computer's having a hard time with uploading things. So I got a pretty decent fit. You'll see there's a little bit of, it needs to be a little bit tighter here. I suspect this is because I was trying to video it at the same time as I was sewing, so I may not have got these seams as neat as I should have right up here. I'll probably take this top off and cut it off and then put it back on again, and that'll probably tighten most of this. But the outside edge is nice. I'm going to turn it in here and we're going to look at some of my seams. Let's see. Yeah, I could have got some of these inside seams a little bit better. But all in all, it's not bad. Again, I'm probably going to take it off and tighten it all up. Just a little bit, just like take a little slightly bigger seam right from about there to there, but not very much because it would be too tight if I did. And by the time I tighten this up here and tighten that up, take that up, it ought to tighten everything up where I want it to be. And I think that's a fairly nice shape. If you don't want it to tip down so much along the edges, you could definitely not reduce it as much. Okay, I took my parasol cover back off the frame. I decided it needed a little bit of taking up just at the very, very top. It looked a little bit slack. So you see, I ran another stitch just barely inside it. It could have been caused by the fact I was trying to video in the first place and not paying attention to where my stitch lines were running. So I went back and just barely inside the first stitching line, I took another one. I also decided it was too long this way. So I'm going to, let's take the pin. I have magnets, so we're going to cut that off about there. And then we're going to put it back on and see how it fits. Okay, I've got one more to pin on. And we're going to see if it looks better now. Opening it up. Oops. Didn't get that one where it needed to be. Alright. Now we'll try again. That's quite a bit better. I still could have got a little bit more out of that. Let's see. Raise that up a little bit. Okay, so I probably could have got a little bit more out of this, and I may yet go back in there and hand stitch this. But when I stitch around this here, like that, that will help it a lot to stay taut right through that area. It's not perfect, but it's going to be pretty decent. I still think I may need to go back in here and tighten this up just a little bit right in this area. I may not have, because that's very fiddly. It's a fiddly area to work with, so it may have either moved when I was sewing it. It may have slipped when I was cutting it. You notice I don't always pin as much as I probably ought to. The tighter, the more accurately you can cut this, the better off you are, because at the outer edge, the little bit off doesn't make as much difference as it does at the inner. A little bit of measurement makes more of a difference when it's a smaller area than it does when it's on the wider part of this. Okay, I'm not sure how well this is going to work, trying to show you fine detail. Okay. So, the first step at sewing the parasol on to the ribs like this is going to be to sew through the seam a few times. So you're going to want to catch your needle, through the hole, and make sure the end of your cover is past, because you're going to catch that shut in a minute. But I'm catching just the seam allowance right now. I'm using a double thread. That may cause me problems. And it has been well waxed. Sorry, I keep moving it. I am attempting not to, but it's a bit difficult. Alright, so I put several stitches through that. Now I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to take several stitches from edge to edge. Sorry again, I get it caught up. So what I'm trying to do here is pull this edge closed around the end of the rib tip. Hear the puppy in the background? So my thread here. Next step I'm going to do is take a stitch around this outside top, because it's still a little bit looser than I'd like it to be. So what I'm going to do is just do a very small running stitch. I don't know if you can see that or not. Just a very small running stitch around the base. I'll take up some of this slack. Pulling that up. Take that up a little bit, so I pull that snug. I'm going to wrap my thread around it. stitch. Wrap my thread around. Now I'm kind of, I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of going under and over this thread I'm wrapping around. Oops, I pulled too tight. If you have thread that's a little bit stouter, this is a fairly lightweight all cotton thread. Quilting thread would have been better, but this matched my color better. Silk thread would be good. This is not really part of the integral stability. It's more of make it look pretty. It's not a good idea to yank on it. Okay, I think that'll do. It takes up a little bit of the extra slack there. Again, the sateen is part of my problem. It has a tendency to stretch a little bit, especially when it goes off grain. And you've got a tiny bit of a curve there, so it will stretch somewhat. And the next step is going to be to turn it around and tie the ribs in place on the seam allowances so that they stay lined up with the seams.